So today, we're going to dive into one single plant, the Indian Spurge Tree, or Euphorbia neriifolia. Now, this isn't just any plant. It's an ancient remedy that's now getting a serious second look from modern science. For everything from chronic joint pain and rebuilding skin, to, believe it or not, protecting our vital organs from chemical attacks. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Could one of the oldest remedies in the book also be one of the most powerful? It's a huge question. But you know what? The scientific data we're about to unpack is, well, it's pretty compelling. We're talking about targeted solutions for conditions that affect millions of people, like, that nagging, persistent pain in your knees and shoulders that just makes getting through the day a struggle. And we're also talking about really serious wounds, the kind that just refuse to close up, where the body's own healing system has just hit a wall. And even going deep inside the body, shielding our most essential organs from damage. So you've got to be wondering, right? How on earth can one plant do all of this? Well, let's dive in and break down the science. Okay, so let's start on the outside. We're going to look at the plant's external uses first, seeing how it handles everything from inflammation buried deep in our joints to serious damage right on the surface of our skin. First up, chronic arthritis. For so many people, this is a daily grind of stiffness, of pain. The traditional use for this plant is to go right after that inflammation, hitting it at the source, deep inside the joint. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The claim that scientists are investigating isn't just about, temporary pain relief. They're looking at a mechanism that could potentially shut down the body's chronic inflammation signal for good. And here's how it seems to pull that off. See, there are these specific compounds in the plant called triterpenoids, and they don't just cover up the pain, they go way deeper, basically telling the body to pump the brakes on producing these inflammatory messengers called cytokines. You can think of cytokines as little alarm bells that are constantly ringing, causing swelling and pain. As a 2011 study in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology found, by quieting those alarms, the plant helps reduce the actual physical swelling inside the joint. And that's what can really bring back mobility. Okay, so that's what's happening inside the joints. Now let's move to the surface of the skin. The plant is also being studied for this incredible ability to heal wounds that have just stopped healing, things like chronic ulcers and really deep cracks in the skin. And the way it does this is like a three-step punch. First, it ramps up the production of the raw materials for collagen. That's the protein that basically acts like the scaffolding for our skin. Second, as research shows, it makes the new tissue physically stronger, more resilient. And third, it helps rebuild that whole network of tiny blood vessels needed to bring nutrients to the healing area. It's not passive, it's an active reconstruction project. And this healing power is taken to a whole other level in a really specialized medical procedure from South Asia called Kashara Sutra. It's fascinating. They take a surgical thread, coat it in the plant's processed latex, and use it to treat incredibly difficult conditions like anal fistulas. Now, the crucial part here is that the latex doesn't just heal, it actually acts as what's called a proteolytic agent, which means it dissolves proteins. So it chemically cuts away and cleans out the unhealthy tissue, while at the very same time encouraging healthy new tissue to grow in its place. It's this dual action, clearing and rebuilding, that makes it so good at stopping the problem from coming back. All right, so we've covered the outside of the body. Now let's shift gears and go deeper to see how this plant acts as an internal defense system. This is where it stops being a construction crew and starts acting more like a bodyguard for our organs.
Let's start with the liver, our body's main filter. It is constantly being bombarded by toxins, which leads to something called oxidative stress. Well, research shows that extracts from this plant can help the liver reboot its own natural defenses, restoring critical antioxidant enzymes that are our first line of defense against these harmful free radicals.
And wow, this chart from a 2011 study in pharmaceutical biology just shows it perfectly. Look here at the baseline levels of these protective enzymes, SOD and catalase, in a healthy liver. Then see how they just plummet after toxic damage? But now look at the third bar, the treated group. Those levels are restored almost all the way back to normal. The extract is literally rearming the liver's own defenses. It also mounts this amazing multi-pronged defense for our airways. So for something like asthma, it's not just doing one thing, it's working in 3 ways at once. It relaxes the muscles to actually open up the airways. It has these compounds called saponins that help thin out mucus, making it easier to clear. And then its flavonoids go to work reducing inflammation right there on the bronchial passages.
Okay, so we've seen this one plant fight inflammation, rebuild skin, protect the liver, and clear the lungs. It's a lot. So how does this all fit together? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the core ways it actually works. This table really just lays it all out so clearly. For joint pain, it's all about reducing inflammation by blocking specific enzymes. For wound healing, it's focused on rebuilding the skin structure with collagen. For the liver, it's about neutralizing those nasty free radicals by restoring antioxidants. And for breathing, it relaxes and clears the airways. Four totally different problems, each solved by a distinct targeted biological pathway. But, and this is a huge but, there is something absolutely critical we have to talk about. Because all of this incredible potential comes with a very serious, very crucial warning. Okay, listen up. If you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, please let it be this. Pretty much every scientific paper on this plant carries a major warning. The raw, unprocessed, milky sap, the latex, it's not safe. It is caustic, which means it can literally burn your skin, and it's toxic if you handle it the wrong way.
This slide right here is the key to understanding everything. You really have to think of this plant as having two completely different faces. On one hand, you have the raw latex. It's dangerous. On the other hand, you have the scientifically prepared, purified, and properly dosed extracts used in medicine. They are not the same thing. All of the cures and benefits we've been talking about depend on that processing to unlock the good stuff while getting rid of the danger. So that really brings us to the central idea of our explainer today. How do we square these two things? How do we reconcile this plant's unbelievable healing potential with its very real danger? And the answer really is right here. The most powerful takeaway is that the word natural is not a synonym for safe. It just isn't. Potency cuts both ways. The power to heal often comes from the exact same source as the power to harm. And the bridge between those two things is science. It's understanding, processing, and careful application. The Indian Spurge Tree really shows us that nature is this vast, powerful pharmacy, just full of incredible compounds. But they don't come with an instruction manual. It takes careful, rigorous scientific work to turn a potent plant into a proven, safe medicine. And that just leaves us with one final question to think about. What else is out there, just waiting for us to find the right key to safely unlock its potential?